So then, no back and forth. I said, okay, sold. Didn't see it. Only saw the pictures. So I put an offer on a house without seeing it in person.
Okay.
I already knew. It was on the market for 2 days and it was already under contract. This is a hot home.
Right.
We're done.
Right.
Sign it up. I said, I don't want anybody else in that house. I don't want that house to be seen by anybody else. Take it off the market. No open houses. Lock it down. Calls me up. Says, okay, locked down.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl here, Breanna Colón. Thank you for joining me again for another podcast episode, Your Life, Your Money with Breanna Colón. I am excited to be here with you today. For those watching on YouTube, what's up? Glad to see you. And for those listening on the podcast, thank you so much for taking the time to listen in. Today, we are talking to another one of our Integrity Financial Family clients. Her name is Fabienne, and I am delighted to have her with us today. Can you say what's up to the people?
What's up, people? Hello, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for coming and hanging with me today. So I want to just jump right in, really, and talk about. I've known you now for about a year, a little over a year, and for some reason I thought it was longer than that. It just feels like I've known you longer. I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing, you know. But I guess we could talk a little bit about how we met, because I was at the ER. Fabienne is a nurse, travel nurse, but she happened to be at the right place at the right time when I had to take my father to the emergency room, and she came in as a nurse and just really took her time with us and took the time to make sure we understood what questions we need to ask, things we need to know, just really took the time to educate us on things that we might not normally be aware of because we're not in the healthcare space. And I just really appreciated that about her. Didn't know it was going to turn into what it has turned into now, which I'm going to let her explain that part. But just to know, first of all, to have people like her in the healthcare space that care enough to know that, especially for our culture, there are things that we're just not knowledgeable about when it comes to taking care of our loved ones in a hospital setting. And so for her to be willing to share in her knowledge to help us be more empowered in that area was just very meaningful. So but it was a different thing for her in terms of how we got connected from the financial point of view. So I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
Well, how I met you was definitely in the hospital.
Right.
But prior to that, I had been praying and I had said, Lord, send me my people, meaning send me my tribe, send me the people that I need in my life, send me the people that you think should be in my life to help me accomplish some of my goals, my big goals. And I said, make sure, Lord, that you give me the discernment to be able to recognize those people when they cross my path.
Amen. And then here were our paths crossing, unbeknownst to us that was, initially of saying hi, that it would turn into, oh, you're a financial advisor. Wait, what? I need your card.
Yeah, you were tapping away on
Oh,
your
that's
computer.
right. I was working.
You were working, and I asked you what you were working on. Yeah.
Yep. Wow. That's amazing. But God is amazing. So
yes,
from that standpoint, should we be surprised at the fact that he knows how to connect people the way they need to be connected, and Absolutely. He knows how to answer your prayer in any which way he needs to get the job done. And so he obviously heard your prayer and, allowed us to be in there at that time for you to just naturally ask the question like, hey, what you working on? That would lead us to where this relationship is now. So I think that's really cool. And, God is awesome. So, let's talk a little bit about your background. I know that you are Haitian.
Yes.
And so you told me that you grew up, your grandfather raised you. And so you spent a short time in Haiti as a young girl, and then you guys moved to the United States at some point. So what was life like growing up with your grandfather? Like, what did you see, good or bad, in terms of money habits or things that you learned about money?
Well, things I learned about money from my grandfather and my grandmother were things like you know, my grandmother would cook everything. We wouldn't eat out a lot. She'd cook everything, and it was always organic, and it always tasted amazing. She was such a good cook.
That's good.
Um, my grandfather, he would cut his own grass.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she would grow her own food.
Mm-hmm. So they
Um,
were savers in that way. They weren't just out,
absolutely.
splurging. Hey, we're going to Chick Fil
No,
A. Hey, we're going.
no. Yeah,
Now, did
absolutely.
that part carry over for you? Do you cook a lot?
I do. I'm constantly cooking. I'm always meal prepping.
Okay, nice, nice. So I should
Yes.
come over.
You
Got it,
so
got
you,
it.
you are always always welcome.
Gotcha. Okay, so you were saying, you watch them do things that cause them to be able to save money because they're doing it at home, taking care of these things at home. Which
Absolutely.
that is worth having me repeat it because that's not the common occurrence, unfortunately, in the United States of America. The average American is eating out a lot and buying this, buying that. We don't do a lot of the things at home as much as we should. The simple things, the practical things that would absolutely save us money. But go ahead. What else happened?
Well, my grandparents didn't speak much English.
Okay.
So, because they didn't speak much English, I was always the one translating for them.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody called the house healthcare, finances, what have you, I would always have to be in charge of the facts, the figures, and everything and understand how much
Mm.
everything cost and how things worked.
Okay. That's good though. That's
Yes.
very good. So
Yes.
they you would say that they were probably doing pretty good financially.
I think so. I think that everything was covered for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, and there was still a lot of saving going on.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So how much of that translated over for you in your adult life because you're still young?
Yes. Yes. Well, things like my grandfather would say, don't be like your mom, don't be like your grandma when
Mm-hmm.
it came to finances. Don't just spend all your money on like nice clothes and stuff. Make sure you have a little something set aside.
Mm-hmm.
He would say things like, "That's vanity."
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted something like, let's say we go out and there's a vending machine. Children love vending machines,
Mm-hmm.
and he would say, "We don't need that. We have that at home. We're okay. We don't need that." And so he would teach me. I don't know the word for that, but I think the word is reserve almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would explain it. To just like not always just chase the things that you want all the time,
Mm-hmm.
whenever. Um, he would do weird things like he would hand me a ton of cash
Mm.
and he would say, "Hold on to this for me."
Okay.
And then he would come back and he would ask for it.
Mm.
And then I would just give it to him because like what it's just
He trusted you. He knew he could trust you.
he knew he could trust me, but I think also he wanted me to get used to holding on to some form of money so that
That's
it wasn't
good.
new.
That's good. So he taught you without telling you. Like
Right.
he didn't say that this is the lesson, but
Right.
you still got the lesson.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice. Now you have siblings.
I do.
Did he raise your siblings too?
No, just me.
Just you. Okay. Okay, got you. So you got to hold the money, feel it for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then give it back to him. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. So do you feel like you have been a good saver as a result of, the things that he instilled in you?
I think over the years it has been difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the overarching theme was I knew that I needed to save and I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I needed to have a hold on my finances.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always working towards that end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha. So when we met, because sometimes a lot of our clients will come in the door with really heavy situations where they're drowning in debt and they make a lot of money, but they don't have any savings and everything is kind of in disarray. And that was really not necessarily the story for you. You actually had money coming in the door. You did have some debt, obviously, but you came in kind of aggressively like I got these goals. This is what I'm trying to do. I want to have these real estate properties and I want to make a certain amount of money by this date. She was very, 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 you were very, very sure about your vision and, what you wanted to be able to make happen. And so that's some of what we're going to talk about today too, because some of that process is processing, it's happening. And so I think it's really exciting because you are only 30, what, 8, 9 years old or something like that. That's still very young to, be doing some of the things that you're doing. Now, being a travel nurse, um, gives you some wide opportunity, from a financial standpoint, obviously, because you can make more traveling. But also an opportunity to really be wherever you want to be. So that kind of is helpful, would you say, as far as being able to build your real estate, because you can, pick a job at a hospital in whatever area you want to buy real estate in. Would you
That's
say
that.
that's
Yes.
yeah, that's been
Yes.
been pretty helpful for you. So I think that's a good thing. And one of the things that I noted in from our initial meeting last year was where you said your dream is to work 4 to 5 hours a day and make $400,000 to $500,000 a year.
I forgot about that completely. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. So I would say you're definitely on your way, working towards that for sure. I mean, obviously, it's only been a year, so she hasn't gotten there yet, but definitely some things are in work and in progress. So I want to talk about the at the point in time that I met you, you had already acquired your first investment property. And I think the investment property conversation is a huge important topic because there's so many people that are looking to get into the real estate game. There's a lot of people that have been in it and got out, and then there's people that are in it and they're in it to win it. They're doing stuff. And so you started out with a rough, I'll call it turbulent situation. So if you can just tell us a little bit about that, whatever you want to say about, what kind of happened as far as how you ended up with that property and, what happened with it.
My first,
The
very
first
first
one.
property.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
The one you called the nightmare.
I was naive.
Mm-hmm.
I was young. I was approached,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't seek out professional help
Mm-hmm.
because I was told not to.
Mm.
I didn't seek out professional help because I was told that I'd be taken care of.
Okay. So this is by the person in the transaction with you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Got you. Got you.
Absolutely. And had I known even an inkling of what I
Mm-hmm.
knew, maybe even like 6 months after it all happened,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have sought some professional assistance of some sort.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So that was one of the reasons why you were like, hey, God, please, Lord, send me my people, because
Yes.
some of that was probably birthed out of that situation.
Yes.
That,
Absolutely.
okay, that made you say, okay, you know what? I need to get this together. This is something I want to do, but I need to know what I don't know, and I need the people that know what I need to know.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of been our journey
Yes.
of just kind of empowering you financially with things about real estate, things about budget, things about debt, credit, just pretty much any and everything that can enhance these areas of you trying to grow your real estate. So this particular house, this was in a different state than you were living in, but you used to live there though, right? Did you used to live in that state? Were you about
Yes,
that?
I did.
Okay, yeah, you used to
Yes,
live
I
there.
did.
Okay, so in short form, you had you had someone that was living in the house, but they had stopped paying. Is that right? Is that what
There
happened?
was a point where they had stopped paying. Yes.
Right, right. So, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I've had family members that have gone through that situation and
Very
had
scary.
to get, the person evicted because, they just feel like, oh, well, you know what, I don't care. I'll just stay here until they kick me out. And so them not paying obviously became a stressful situation for you.
Absolutely.
And how long did that go on that they weren't paying? Was
there
that
were breaks
okay?
over the years
Okay.
at different times,
Okay.
but then there was a major break, and it was like a year long.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So okay. So because you and I started working together, kind of in the middle of all of that, and so it was a whole year of people feeling like, I mean, well, these particular people feeling as though they could get by and not paying for
Yeah.
over a year, and so you ended up having to get legal help
Yes.
to be able to solve this situation,
Yes.
and which is really unfortunate, but at least you were able to find an appropriate attorney to handle the matter.
Yes.
That absolutely matters. And so though this story started out, it started out as something that was supposed to be a really great thing,
Yeah.
and then it ended up being a turbulent thing. But then it ended as a really great thing because she's a king's kid. So let's just be clear about that. That though something may seem like a bad situation, there's so many life things that you probably got out of that. Are there life lessons that you feel you got out of that whole situation?
Yes, so many.
Okay. What would you say, like maybe two or three that you think were some that would carry, that are carrying forward?
The main life lesson is that no matter where you are dropped, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to stay there.
Come on, that's a sermon right there. No matter where you are dropped, you don't have to stay there. Wow.
You are able.
Ooh, you are able. Come on here. All right, I like it. I like it. You are able. Okay, that probably ministered to somebody today. Really, you are able. I mean, like really, that's a whole word right there. You are able. For someone who's going through a rough situation, because sometimes we all can have times where we feel like our situation is rough, but then if we hear about someone else's situation, then we realize we should just sit down and shut up because maybe our situation is not as bad as we thought. But there are times where it can get really, really rough, and sometimes for people it's emotional, because you've just been in it so long. But to remember that you are able, like that is a very, very big deal, very, very encouraging. So, anyway, so ultimately you were able to get out of this real estate deal,
Yep.
and so you were able to sell the house,
Yep.
and you did have to end up splitting some of the proceeds
Yep.
because of the way the deal was structured and whatnot.
Yes.
But ultimately, you still walked away with some six-figure money. Is really the bottom line.
Thank
So
God.
what a blessing. And so that's what I mean about going back to your point of you are able, like God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above what we could ask or think. And so she hung in there, and so then you ended up making your money, or at least some of the money back that was lost in the midst of that transaction. So now you've gotten this one property out of the way, and so now you in our next meeting you're like, hey, I want to buy some 2 or 3 unit houses. I want to buy
I
this,
mean,
that.
I was bridled, so now it was time to run.
So she was like, I was broken, but I was not destroyed in this real estate transaction.
I was put on pause.
Yes, put on pause. So when you started looking again, what how did you decide, like what made you want 2 or 3 unit properties? What was the
I thought to myself, as simple as if one of them doesn't want to pay the rent, then the rent will be covered by the other three.
Well, that makes sense. That's just regular common sense, huh?
Right? I just thought about it and I said, well, if I do the one, then I'm stuck if something happens. But if I have, a multi unit property, then that would help me immensely because there would always be money coming in because not everybody's just going to stop. You
Right.
might have an issue with one tenant, but you won't definitely have an issue with all of them at the same time.
Right.
That normally doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. So how difficult has it been, like when you bought your second property? Um how difficult was it finding the property? Because you were buying out of state, because she was traveling as a nurse, and so now here she is trying to buy a property in another state while she's living in another state. So that could be a little challenging. I'm kind of in the same boat where I have properties in a different state than where I live. So how difficult was that journey for you trying to purchase the real estate, in a different state, as far as using a realtor and trying to see the house and all of that kind of stuff?
Again, I prayed, Lord, send me the people that I need to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And He sent me the people that I needed to make this happen.
Mm-hmm. I love the running theme going on here. Is she's like, God is the source of
Absolutely.
everything that's happening here. So if you haven't caught that as her running theme yet, you need to catch on
Absolutely.
that if God is the head of it and you are consulting Him, He absolutely does answer prayer.
Yep.
I mean, like for real, for real. I can testify to that myself, but this is not about me today. This is about her. So um, you found. I know you had like, because there was more than one property that you had looked at the time.
There was more than one property that I looked at the time. One of
Mm-hmm.
them needed extensive work,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them didn't need extensive work.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a person who wants extensive work.
Right. Right.
Because I felt like I wasn't, I felt that I was not experienced enough and that I had not done it long enough to be comfortable to extend myself in that way. I said, why don't I start out with something that's move-in ready, already has tenants, hit the ground running, go, go, go. That's
Mm-hmm.
what felt like the most sense. The other one had more potential.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a huge fan on potential. I don't like that word very much. The other one had more potential.
Right.
The other one could command more rent for the unit that wasn't doing well.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't sit well with me because the more rent is just monthly, but to get that off the ground would have been thousands of dollars to get it done.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars that I didn't feel like spending.
Right. Right. That right there.
Especially because when you're doing a renovation, there's there's a number of different directions that it can go.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know
Absolutely.
which direction it's going to go because you don't do it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You're not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what you think or what you're being told
Mm-hmm.
is a great opportunity could turn out to be something not so much a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what made the most sense is I said I wanted to buy investment properties. So I wanted to invest in properties that were going to bring me money. I think that
Yeah.
just made one plus one two. So I said, I'm not looking for a flip because I'm not a flipper.
Yeah.
I would like to buy an investment property.
Mm-hmm.
So an investment property is what I went after. So there were
Mm-hmm.
two options. One of them didn't need much work, ready to go right out the gate, and one of them did need work on one particular unit. And I went with the one that didn't need much work.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller, gave less rent, but to me it made the most sense because it was more consistent.
Gotcha. Because your tenants have been in there for a while.
Yes, they had.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to go looking for anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a very valid point for those considering getting into real estate or those that are already into real estate that are trying to figure things out, if you will. Some of the things to think about, which is a lot of what you and I were doing in our sessions, is
Yes.
challenging you to look into this,
Yes.
analyze that. And
Yes.
so we talked about, well, first of all, I'd like to say that you have to make sure that you figure out where you want to go with real estate because there's so many different entry points.
So many.
And you just brought up the fact that you figured out for you want to buy and hold multi-unit properties. That's your flow. That's your jam. And for other people, maybe it's I want to flip. Maybe I want to be a wholesaler. Or maybe I want to buy and hold a single family home and just rent out a single property. Maybe I want to have a vacation property or Airbnb. So you really need to figure out what streets you want to be on. And it's not that it's not okay to have more than one street because you can have more than one avenue within the real estate, obviously, but you got to start somewhere is the point. And so I think that's really valid. So with your particular situation being an absentee owner,
yeah,
it was important based on your lifestyle for you to have a property manager.
absolutely.
And that particular property already had a property manager, right? Didn't it? Did it?
No.
Oh, it didn't.
No, the person that owned it was managing his own property.
Okay. So you found a property management company.
Yes, I did.
Okay, got you. And so they have been taking care of things. And so some of the things that, what would you say are some of the things that you learned from that transaction? Like some of the things that you gained from our meetings that you didn't hadn't thought about before, weren't really thinking too deeply about, but of course had to take the time to do the homework and analyze this or that.
The analyze. You taught me so many words and so many definitions for things, so many terms that I had not previously known or understood, and that even if I did ask, I wasn't really given the real answer. There would always be an answer that led to more questions, but you were so clear and so concise and so direct with the way that you explained it to me that it allowed me to take that same model and apply it to something else. Like at the closing table and the closing disclosure, we reviewed it together. And you were able to teach me so much off of the closing disclosure. Also, when it came to rates, I remember we had a conversation about rates, and you helped me to understand that. You also helped me to understand what makes up a mortgage. I remember we talked about that too.
Yeah.
And so I was able to ask, okay, well, what's my bill going to be? And I think you were the one that told me that the companies sell your mortgage.
Right.
So let's say you have a mortgage broker. You get a mortgage with them. They sell it to somebody else. This other company is sending your mail to some random address that doesn't belong to you, and There's
Right.
they don't have your email information, they don't have anything. And here
Mm-hmm.
you are late on your mortgage.
Right.
Close to
Right.
foreclosure because you thought you were supposed to be paying these people and you're actually supposed to be paying these other people because they sold it.
Right.
And
Right.
so I said to my lender, I said, okay, who are you selling it to? He was like, what? I said, who are you selling my mortgage to?
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to make sure that I have communication with them
Right.
immediately.
Right.
And he was like, oh, I'm selling it to such and such. And then I was able to go from that. But that was from a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was so many other things that I can't really think of, not really
In the
coming to
moment.
mind
Mm-hmm.
in the moment.
Right.
But your input helped me so much.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think I started paying down my credit cards before the loan officer ever asked me to,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm. Well,
improved
that's
my
been
credit
ongoing with
score.
us.
It has
Right.
been,
Right.
which
Right.
improved my credit score.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of the beautiful things about knocking those out of the way. Which, as a
Absolutely.
side note, she does not have any credit card debt as of today.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. So that's a beautiful thing in terms of progress, over the last year and things that she's been able to accomplish. But you brought up some good points about when you were talking about things that you've learned, things that people need to think about when you are purchasing an investment property. Getting in the know. There's so many things you need to get in the know about in terms of just like when you talked about the closing costs, being clear about what that is going to look like. Sometimes we're waiting for the mortgage company to send us these preliminary numbers, which is fine, but you can also call the title company and find out ahead of time. You don't have to wait. You can find that out on the front end. Hey, here's the property. I want to get an idea of what the closing costs would be for this property. Now, that's not going to, the title company, what they send you initially is not necessarily going to have all the mortgage fees on it, but it'll give you what the county is charging, the taxes, and the title company's fees and things of that nature. Another thing to note is that you can shop for some of the things that are listed on your closing costs. Some of the title company charges you can actually shop for, and so those are some of the things that I was telling her, to know about things that are optional versus what's not optional. And I apologize, I don't have one in front of me to give y'all a whole tutorial right now, but in general, you can there are certain fees that you do, you can decide that you do or don't want to pay, or that you can shop for. So you got to understand and be able to know your rights. And when it comes to the mortgage payment and making sure that you check around, like, it's good to work with a broker, a mortgage broker, because the mortgage brokers have access to multiple lenders. So if they can't get you approved through one company, they know the underwriting guidelines for several others that maybe you fit better in with this particular lender instead of that particular lender. Now, that's not a knock on the big banks, or the traditional banks that only have one set of loan products, because they can also get the job done. But depending on your particular situation, especially in an investment world, you may need the help. You may get served better by using a broker because of the types of transactions that you're trying to do, especially if you're doing multi-unit. You're trying to figure out, okay, well, do I want to use a hard money lender, which in that case, you're not even using a mortgage broker. You're just using an individual hard money lender. Or if you're going to do a conventional loan, and put the money down, well, then who's got the best deal going right now is what I need to know. So there's multiple ways, obviously, to be able to take care of stuff. And then in some cases, if you're buying a property where you can live in one of the units, then that's a different type of loan there too, because now this property can become your primary residence, which leads into the most recent property that you just bought. And so now she's on, like, technically property number 3, because the first one, though that was intended for her to buy and hold, she ended up having to sell it just because of how the whole transaction unfolded and didn't go as well as she had planned. So technically she had one flip and then bought a second property. And then so technically this is her third real estate deal, if you will. And so of many to come. And so this third property that you most recently acquired, this one now became your single family home. Well, not single family, excuse me. Well, it became home for you, yes, but it's still a multi-unit property.
Yes.
Now that's the beauty of being single, because you got the flex, and being a travel nurse, because you have that flexibility that you could buy a house. You're going to get a better deal because you're living in one of the units. and now you get to live in a unit and have your mortgage be covered. Like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So, what was the process like this time around trying to find this property? Because now this property is in a different state than the second property.
Mm-hmm.
So, how was that process? Because I know we've had conversations and stuff like that. So, but I want you guys to hold that thought before we get back to that because I need to take a quick break. So, we'll be right back. And we're back. If you're just tuning in, you have got to catch this from the beginning. We are sitting here with one of our Integrity Financial clients. Fabienne is hanging out with me today. I'm so happy that you decided to come and hang with little old me. So we were talking, today's topic is really about real estate investing is what we're really heavily talking about today because that's kind of been her journey. And we've been talking a little bit about the first property that she had. It didn't go as well as she would have liked. And the good that came out of what seemed to be a really bad situation, and then leading into her second property that she purchased, a multi-unit that she was able to buy in another state, be able to acquire a property manager and all of that. And so now she is on her third property. Now, I did note early on last year when we met, one of your goals was to have 10 houses by age 55. Now, she's 38. This is technically it's property number 3, but 2 for purposes of holding properties. This is her second one in within a year. So I think you're going to not have a problem at all getting to the 10 by age 55 when you haven't even hit 40 yet. Okay? I love it. I love it. So that's the thing. If you're going to set a goal, get the action steps together, make that plan, and go for it. Go after what you want. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We all have the ability to create the life that we want. I decided I wanted to have a company, and guess what? I'm doing it. I wanted to have a podcast. I'm doing it. So if there's something that you want, have the vision, lay out the plan, get the action steps, and get to getting. Okay? Get to getting in my Georgia voice. Now, as we were talking about this third property you acquired, and we were talking about how you found the property. That's what I asked you before we went to the break. How did you find this third property?
Well, my realtor was sending me properties, and I didn't like them.
I've been there.
Okay. So I originally was going to buy in a different state, and I got a quote, for a certain amount of money. And I got a second opinion from another lender, and she quoted me for less. And I decided to go with the lesser number.
Okay.
Because I felt that the lesser number wasn't a number that was just let's just see number. I felt like the lesser number was, this is what we can close with. And it felt like a number that matched expectations appropriately.
Okay.
As opposed to going after a number, let's say they pre-qualify you for $600,000. You go after the $600,000. You find out you actually can't close. You have to start the process all over again because what you can actually close with is something closer to 4. So that's basically what happened.
So you were getting 2 different answers from 2 different lenders.
Absolutely.
Whew, that's rough. Yeah, I do remember that in one of our sessions in talking about that in detail and those numbers. And apparently they were calculating things differently, and
yes.
Whether that was debt to income ratio or what the calculation of the rent,
yes.
Things of that nature, having
yes.
tenants already in the property versus properties you buy that don't already have a tenant.
Yes.
Again, other things that you have to consider, which as a side note, and I'm coming back to you in a minute, is making me think about other educational tips that I can drop right now. But I think it's important to when you're looking at potential property that is a multi-unit, and if there's tenants already in there, how long have the tenants been in the property? Have they always paid on time? What are the expenses like? How old are the appliances in the property? Is there anything that might potentially be needing to be fixed in the immediate soon after you purchase it? You want to know exactly, what am I walking into? I don't want to get in here and get duped, and now I got to give up $20,000 and I just got the property yesterday. These are things you need to know. How old is the roof? All these are general things that for a lot of it you need to know, even for just a single family home that you're buying to live in. But especially if you're going to buy it as an investment property, how well has this property been taken care of up to this point? Is the rent low? And is there room? What's been the trend on the rent? What are the tenants used to? Are they used to the rent going up by 10% every year? Have they been paying the same rent for the last 10, 15 years? You need to know, do I have room to increase the rent so that I can be profitable? Are you going to be profitable right now? Can you analyze the numbers properly to be able to see, okay, if I buy this property today, this is going to be my mortgage payment. This is how much rent is coming in. Where am I? Am I going to have to come out of my personal pocket? Well, if the answer is yes, then you're not profitable. You're not profitable if you have to pay out of your personal pocket. So if that's the case, I feel like I'm not coming up for air because I'm so excited on this point. But if that's the case, then you need to look at, before you just say, oh no, this is not a good deal. Well, can I make this property profitable? Are these people coming up to the end of their lease where I can get some people in there that can pay market rent? Are these people already paying market rent? That too. And so if they're not paying market rent, how much room do I have to increase rent? And by how much am I allowed as a landlord in a particular state to increase the rent at a time? I might not be able to jump from $700 to $1,100, but maybe I can jump from $700 to $800 and keep increasing $100 a year over time to get up to the $1,100. Well, maybe now I got something I can work with. So those are all things of how deep and analytical you need to be when it comes to trying to buy a multi-unit property. You got to think that deep. If the goal is long term, I want to be able to make money, and I don't want to have to be paying for repairs from my pocket. So I'm sure those are some of the things that I've challenged you with. Like, okay, well, did you check this? Well, have you looked into that?
Yes. Yes.
I know you always had homework from me.
Yes. Yes. Welcome to homework.
Right. All the time having homework. So anyway, you were going on about what the process was. The realtor was sending you properties, and you didn't like what you were getting, and
No.
leading into how you found this house.
So like I said, I had a pre-approval for more money.
Mm-hmm.
So my realtor was sending me properties for the approval for more money.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And he was sending them to me, and I started doing research on the areas.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing research on, remember those conversations?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started saying to myself, would I want to live here?
Yeah.
If it were me and I was looking for an apartment,
Mm-hmm.
would I feel safe? Would I feel like it had what I needed?
Mm-hmm.
Would I feel comfortable in this area? Where would I park my car? Would I feel like my car would be parked safely outside, or would I be afraid that it was going to be taken or vandalized? All of these things. Would I feel comfortable walking up to my door at night? All of these things. So this all went into it. And then I said to myself, I need to stay closer to the lower number. And when I say I need to stay closer to the lower number, when I'm looking at the property, I need to make sure that even though I stay closer to the lower number, that the home somehow has something either new feel to it, or it feels like the previous owners cared for it or loved it. Not just something that somebody just like turned the key, threw it away. The tenants did whatever they wanted to do. Because you can tell a lot from pictures. Right. I know people want to always go and see a home, but you can tell a lot from pictures.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was...
you right there.
Oh, sorry.
Cough. No, you're fine. I just got a cough. I kept trying to drink the water. I felt what you felt, tickle in the throat. I'm like, oh. I was trying to hold it, so I made my eye water.
You should put the candy in your mouth.
Trying to hold it. Well, I started to, but I was like, the mic is sensitive. I don't want to be like, I'd be the main one swishing candy around.
I'm so sorry.
Like, oh.
You'll be all in my ear too.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I was like, let me find a break so I can cough. All right. Anyway, sorry. Hopefully you can keep going from where you left off. Go ahead.
So I would just ask myself, would I want to live here? And then from the pictures, you can tell a lot. I don't always need to go and see a home because I could tell just by the pictures what it's going to look like. And then the seeing it in person will just confirm what it was that I saw because I'm looking for a specific thing. So that being said,
what kind of things are you looking for when you're looking for a multi-unit property? I think that would be good for people who are aspiring to do what you're doing. What are some of the things you would say you're like, let me put my keen eye on this in the picture?
I like straight walls. I like white walls. I don't like houses that have a ton of color on the walls.
Okay. Now, what's the significance of that?
It screams, I prepared for the sale of this home. Does that make sense?
So you'd rather someone who didn't prepare for the sale, or what do you mean?
When you, let's say you like purple walls and you
Mhm.
paint your whole house purple,
Right.
but it comes time to sell the home
Mhm.
and you paint the walls white.
Mhm.
It means that you prepared because
Right.
people don't always live with white walls.
Mhm.
But people that are trying to sell a home,
Mhm.
they're trying to get the house ready to sell it.
Right. Right. Right.
So that's one thing.
Mhm.
I don't want to buy a house that has a bunch of stuff in it.
Mhm.
So I want to buy
You're saying they need to. You like the fact that they are preparing
for the sale of
for
the
the sale
home.
of the home. Okay, gotcha. I thought you were saying the opposite. That's why I was like, wait, what now?
No.
No, I'm with you now. Okay, right. Yeah.
Because I want to be able to see all the little cracks and crevices just from the
Right.
picture.
Yeah.
And if there's
Absolutely.
couches and stuff in the way, I can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, it leans to the like, are you really trying to sell this home?
Mhm. Mhm.
How motivated are you to sell this home?
With stuff everywhere.
With stuff everywhere. Because then when you're buying a home, there is such a thing as a rent back.
Mhm.
So the person's not ready to leave
Right.
and they need to stay in your home
Mhm.
for a certain amount of time, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, what have you.
Yep.
So they can't move out yet
Mhm.
because they have to, purchase something else.
Right.
Well, you can't move in
Mhm.
because there you have it. So then you bought a new home, but you can't even get into it yet because they haven't moved out.
Right.
I need everything out.
Mhm. That's your preference. You're like, hey, look, I just this. So you're not trying to entertain rent back, is what you're saying.
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
really.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is where you're finding yourself as an investor.
Absolutely.
This is what I will and will not tolerate. This
Right.
is what I'm
Right.
okay with this, but I'm not okay with that. And that's what everybody has to kind of make that decision. But go ahead.
I like laminate floors or hardwood floors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes when you purchase a place, there's some things that you have to change.
Mm-hmm.
Carpeting is one of them.
Okay.
Laminate hardwood floors, they stay pretty clean all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Little mop here and there, little water, little soap, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to units, I know I like laundry in my unit.
Mm-hmm.
So if
For sure.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I can command more rent for laundry in the unit. And I know that if it were me, I wouldn't want to be lugging around my laundry everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want to have the convenience of having it in my unit.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I like to know, oh, you have a washer and dryer right here? You thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a washer and dryer in the basement, you thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Some way, somehow, there were some conveniences that you offered your tenants.
Right. That it wasn't just about you making the money, but you actually considered the people that are going to be living there to make you the money.
Right. I wanted to know that there was some green space, some place for people to go out and put their feet in the grass.
Yeah.
Or maybe have like a little cookout or something. Something that like they can enjoy because everywhere doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Everyone's property doesn't have some place that they could sit outside and invite a couple people over. They don't always have that. I like to look at the roof. There was a house that I was looking at. I think you remember this. And I found it on Google Earth. And I saw like a bird's eye view of the roof. And there was something on the roof that was growing on the roof. I was like, I need to know what that is. Is that a hole? What is it? Whatever. So I do a lot of research on stuff like that. Because people hide things.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't even know that's up there. Because they just never paid attention to it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an expense on you. And roofs are expensive.
Yes, they are.
I like to look at the bones, basements. I'm a big basement person. I want to know what the basement looks like. I want to know what the foundation looks like. I want to know what the furnace looks like. I want to know what all the things that keep the house running look like. The water heater, is it on the floor? Is it rusting? Will I have to replace it soon? The electrical box. Are the wires going in there correctly, or are they double wiring it and there's too much? Or I may not have the words to explain what I'm trying to say, but sometimes people overload their electrical box, which is a fire hazard.
Yeah.
And now you've inherited it, and you have to go and you have to replace it.
Speak, girl. Go ahead. I like it. Hope y'all listening. Go ahead.
Those are the things I'm thinking about. I like what else do I like? I like to look at windows too. I like a lot of light. People like light. So I want to make sure that the place that I'm purchasing has a lot of light in it. So I tend to think about it from my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this situation, he was sending me all these homes, but some of them were in these areas that I was not crazy about.
Yeah.
Because I was also looking for an actual place for me to stay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I kept going through them, kept going through them, kept going through them, kept going through them, kept going through them. There was one I really wanted, and it had all the things I wanted. Nice green space, hardwood floors, blah, 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 blah. Scooped it up in no time. It was gone. I was like, oh, I knew that house was going to go. I knew it. So now I had the homework of finding something similar. So I'm looking. I see something come on the market. And I said, okay, when can you get there? He said, I can get there tomorrow. By the time he got there, somebody already put an offer on the house.
Wow.
Which I knew they were going to do. Because I can tell. Okay? And so that happened. That house was off the market for about 13 days. I kept going back to that house, kept looking at it. Kept looking at it, kept looking at it. He sent me another house. We verbally put an offer in on the other house, and they went up. So we put an offer in, and they demanded more money after we put an offer in. And my realtor called me, and I couldn't stop saying the word no. I was just like, no. I couldn't stop. He was like, are you okay? I was like, no. I could not stop saying no.
You were stuck. No.
I was stuck on no. And I was like, well, I can't do this. I'm so sorry. Don't call them back. We're done. They don't want to sell the house. That's also very important. Do they want to sell the house? If they're giving you a bunch of issues or anything that gives you pause.
Right.
You're not trying to sell this house. I'm not trying to buy it. The only way it's going to work is if you want to sell it to me, because if you want to sell it, I'll buy it.
Right.
So fast forward, the house I wanted was on the market for 13 days. We talked about this. And you said to me, you know what? If it's yours, it's yours.
That's right.
All right.
What's for you is for you. Come on.
Okay. So fast forward, I'm looking for it. Everything says contingent. Then on 2 different sites, it said back on market. And then on another side, it said contingent. So I told my realtor to call that realtor.
Yeah.
He called the realtor, left a voicemail. Realtor didn't get back to him. My realtor lets me know that this happened. So I call the number. There's nobody on the other line. Then I go on the hunt for the number that is going to get the person on the phone.
Oh, that's right.
By the 4th phone number, I get him on the phone. He says, I was here. I was visiting family. I wasn't available. My assistant put this on this site, but then put this on that site and all of this stuff. I mean, it's really my fault because I hired her. So it's really all of these things to tell me that the house is available. I call my realtor up.
Jesus.
I give my realtor the number that works. I said, please. I said, hi. I want to ask you if this house again. He goes, well, I called him and he didn't get back to me. That's okay. I found him. Here's the number. Here's his name. Give him a call. Talk to him about what I said. I had already prepped the offer. I already asked him, do you want to sell this house? I already said, send me the rent roll because I need to know how much you're renting this house for. He sends it to me because it was already connected to a property management company.
Yeah.
Because the previous owner was managing it in that way, which is a good sign. He sent me the rent roll, sent me all the information. I said, how come you don't have other pictures on here? I just didn't get around to it. I said, okay. What happened with the previous offer? They did the home inspection and then they just pulled out. Did they give you a reason why? He said, no. I'm extremely upset about it. They don't even have to tell me. By law, they just can pull out. It's a safety. Right. They're done. And my owner is extremely upset with me. I said, oh, is that right? So I gave my realtor all this tea. And I said, go ahead and talk to him. I said, and finally I said, does the owner want to sell the house? He said, what do you mean? I said, people put houses on the market all the time and they're not looking to sell it.
Right.
I want to buy it. Do you want to sell it? He said, yes. So then I send my realtor over there. Apparently my realtor calls me back and had some words for me. He was like, so she's no nonsense. My realtor's like, no, she's not. Nope, she's no nonsense.
You went after what you wanted.
Okay. And then he said, you know what? They're really trying to move this house. You're going to have to go in either at ask or a little bit above.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'd already had a conversation. And I trusted my realtor
Yeah.
with the price he gave me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I hired him.
Right.
So then, no back and forth. I said, okay, sold. Didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Only saw the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So I put an offer on a house without seeing it in person.
Okay.
I already knew.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the market for 2 days and it was already under contract. This is a hot home.
Right.
We're done.
Right. Right.
Sign it up. I said, I don't want anybody else in that house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that house to be seen by anybody else. Take it off the market. No open houses. Lock it down.
Mm-hmm.
Calls me up. Says, okay, locked down.
Mm-hmm.
So we move forward with the home inspection in 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
I fly.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, I'm going to be at the home inspection. My realtor's like, I didn't know you were going to be here, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm here. I'm available. I'm off. I go to the home inspection, and it is exactly as I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. This is why you have to have money cash on hand. 'Cause if you got to fly to go see your property, you need to be able to hop a plane. Okay? Okay, now go ahead.
So I saw it. We did the home inspection. A couple things came back. They took $2,000 or whatever off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it went back to the original price. And they were going to give, they said, do you want it back? I said, put it towards closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where it's going to help me the most.
Right.
Putting
right.
it towards closing costs helps you the most in the long run, as opposed to trying to buy down the loan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We talked about this.
We did.
Okay. Fast forward, we do the home inspection, we do everything, we top to bottom, we're done, we're locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up making it to closing,
Mm-hmm.
which is a story for another time because that week was extremely stressful.
It was for
It
you.
was.
It was. But
was.
you actually went to closing when you were
Yes.
supposed to. There were a
Yes.
few hiccups in the road, but
Yes.
you made it through and now you have closed. You moved into your house.
Yes.
And working on getting these tenants, situated into the house.
Yes, especially with you giving me pressure. When you going to get them in?
That's right. I gave you a deadline. Before your mortgage payment starts, ma'am, you need to have these tenants in the house so
That's
that the
right.
tenants are paying the mortgage and not you.
That's right.
Your money is for you.
That's
It's not
right.
for this investment property.
That's right.
You're to be profitable.
That's right.
profitable.
That's right.
And you're going to make enough, it's worth noting, that you're going to make enough to be able to pay that mortgage. So
And that was the point.
that was the point, to live rent-free
Yes.
and have your tenants pay for said property. So,
Yes.
all of that.
Because
all of that.
I went with the lower number.
Mm-hmm.
And I found something that was within my budget at that lower number.
Within your budget. I like that. I like how you put that. You got to find something within your budget.
Don't
But you also
overextend
mentioned
yourself.
about having a good realtor, what I took out of what you said. It's really, really important to make sure. It's good to meet with more than one realtor, folks. When you're looking for a realtor, looking for a financial advisor, looking for a whatever, a mortgage person, because you don't know what a good realtor is if you don't meet with more than one person, unless you are God inspired, if you will, because that's not everybody didn't do that. Like what you're doing to pray and God gives you discernment, then okay, that's a whole different spiritual conversation. But for those that, are not at that spiritual level and you're just operating on a practical, I need to find a good, home inspector or whatever the person may be. It's good to make sure you got a realtor that you're not just another number that they're trying to close, another number of their clients that they're trying to close, but they're actually going to do their job. That if you need them to make a phone call for you, if you need them to get a hold of somebody, that they're going to do what's necessary to reach the person. I don't like that you had to, go and do the hunt and do all the research. You sound like me, something that I would have done. Like, that's not okay if, that they didn't get a hold of the person. Oh, well, I didn't reach them. They didn't call me back. And you're not going to call them back again? Like, that's important, So make sure that you do your due diligence when it comes to realtors or any other people involved in your real estate transaction. Make sure that you feel like they have your best interest at heart. That's really, really the bottom line. So
Yeah.
I think as you're building your team, you're figuring all of that out, obviously, that,
Yes.
of the people, like you said in your prayer, the people that are supposed to be, your people, as you put it, your people.
Absolutely.
Gosh, there was something else you said that was really good, and I've forgotten it now. I should have wrote it down, but nevertheless, I did want to talk about two other things before we wrap up. One of them was, I know that so part of your strategy has also been to build another stream of income. So you're doing the real estate thing, but now we've also set up the IUL for you.
Yes, we
the
have.
Indexed Universal Life Policy. So I do want to talk briefly about that because of how you're using it. You know, people can use it. I think people don't always understand the power of life insurance and the things that you can get out of it, and the fact that there are different types of life insurance that serve different purposes. And so for you, based on what you were trying to accomplish of, hey, I want to be able to use this account like a bank. You know, people have heard this before. If you've heard it on social media, seen commercials, videos, and different things about, I want to, you know, be my own bank, basically, is what the phrase is. And so the IUL, which stands for Indexed Universal Life Policy, is one of the avenues that allows people to be able to do that. And so in her particular case, the way that we structured hers, she put in a lump sum of money and then she's going to continue making payments, of a certain amount. We basically strategized based on a certain income that she wanted to be able to have by a certain age. So, example, if I want to have $5,000 a month of income coming into me, then, by the time I'm 60 years old and I'm 35 now, how much do I need to put in today in order to get to this projected income for later? And so that's what we, a sample anyway of kind of how we structured yours based on you had, as you've seen by now, she's very specific about her goals. So she's like, hey, look, I want to be able to have this amount of money. How much do I need to put in? And that's pretty much how you said it. So,
Yeah, I work backwards.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And she's been very good about wanting to understand that. So just for educational purposes, for people who haven't heard of the IUL before, the Index Universal Life is based on stock market performance. The interest from your cash account grows based on stock market performance. So it is a life insurance policy first, but people overfund the policy. I have one myself. And people overfund the policy. So maybe the policy, I don't know, hypothetically is $50 a month as a life insurance policy. But maybe because they're trying to grow a specific amount of money, maybe they're putting in, $100, $200, $500, $1,000. It varies depending on the person and the goals. And so by overfunding the policy, a portion of the money, a small portion goes towards the actual cost of the life insurance, but the rest of it goes into a cash bucket, the cash value. And the money that's in the cash value bucket is growing based on stock market performance. It is not tied directly to the stock market. So that means you earn money when the market is up, subject to a cap. They're going to cap off how much you can earn, but you also don't lose money if the market is down. So that's important to note. So it allows people to essentially earn cash that they can borrow from or withdraw from at a later date and be able to, if they want to, be able to also create an income for themselves. So in her case, as her money grows, it'll be accessible. She doesn't have to worry about the whole 59.5 rules that they have with the 401k and so forth. So she literally will be able to pull out money later if she wants to buy another real estate transaction. If she wants to buy a car, she can be her own bank and pay herself back. She can just decide, what, I'm going to pay this back over the next 4 years. I'm going to just drop $300 a month or whatever the case may be. She sets her own parameters. How cool is it to walk into a car dealership with cash and just be like, and I don't mean literal cash, don't go in there with $30,000, but to be able to go in and say, oh, I don't need your financing, I will have my own today, I'll just be cutting
Amen.
a check.
Amen.
Okay. It's a beautiful thing. So that's just a little bit of the sample of the power of the IUL. So I wanted to make sure I explain that so people kind of know like what's out there that I can use to further enhance my financial stability. So in her case, this is one of the avenues that she's using along with her real estate to build her empire. I love it. I love what you're doing. I love how things are going. Maybe we can have like a follow-up session, maybe another year from now, going into season 2 to see like what else has happened since then. So, but thank you so much for coming and hanging with us today. I do have to wrap it up. I wish I could keep going, but I can't. But until next time, guys, catch the next episode. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.